She dreamed of a perfect wedding. He waited for her at the altar. But the air went cold, the crowd held its breath. And then Amoka changed. Bones, hair, eyes, everything betrayed her. It was like the world failed her, she couldn't believe it. Who, or what, was she really? The answer will shock you. Watch till the end. The church fell into silence so heavy it seemed to press the air flat. From the outside, the afternoon sun baked the roof until it slapped. Inside, bodies froze mid-movement, the flower girl with her basket raised, the old choir mistress with her hand lifted to strike the next note. The groom with a bead of sweat sliding down his cheek. Then came the sound. A sharp, low groan, like wood cracking under too much weight. All eyes turned to the bride. Amoka stood at the altar in a gown white as morning mist. Moments earlier she had been smiling shyly at Peter, the man she'd known since childhood. Now her face tightened, every muscle drawn as if invisible ropes pulled from all sides. Her bouquet hit the floor with a dull thud. Amoka. Peter whispered, his voice cracking. She answered with a cry that wasn't human. Her body jerked once, twice. The lace sleeves of her gown stretched and tore. Fingers bent backward, joints snapping like green sticks. Gasps rippled through the congregation. Jesus have mercy, someone shouted. Her arms shrank, twisting inward. Bones popped under skin. Smooth, graceful arms narrowed into rough, sinewy legs. White fabric split down the back as her spine curved forward. Stop it. Somebody help her. Peter lunged forward but stumbled to a halt when her neck elongated before his eyes. The congregation pressed against the walls. Mothers guided their children. A deacon dropped the Bible and backed away, muttering a prayer he barely remembered. Amoka's nose flattened. Her eyes widened until the whites were pools of moonlight. Hair spilled to the floor, then thinned, coarse and dark. Hoofs struck the tiled floor with a cold, ringing clack. Where the bride had stood now stood a young brown goat, trembling, eyes wide. The silence after was worse than the screams. No one moved. The goat, Amoka, staggered in a slow circle, hoofs slipping on the polished tiles. Her sides heaved like bellows. From her throat came a raw, broken bleat that carried the echo of a human cry. Peter, stay back, the priest backed, clutching the edge of the pulpit. But Peter stepped forward anyway. His black suit clung to him with sweat. Amoka, he said, voice trembling, it's me. It's Peter. I'm right here. The goat froze. Wide amber eyes fixed on him, searching, frantic. Someone screamed. Another followed. The spell of silence shattered. Guests stampeded toward the doors, heels clattering, chairs toppling, hymnal books scattering across the floor. Babies wailed. Men shouted prayers. A woman fainted beside the aisle. Peter kept moving. Don't touch it, an elderly woman shrieked from the back. It is not of this world. He ignored her. He knelt, reaching a hand toward the trembling creature that only moments ago had been his bride. It's all right, he whispered. I'm not leaving you. The goat trembled harder. Its ears twitched, nostrils flaring as if smelling something no one else could. A low voice came from the far corner. So it has come, said a gray-haired man in a faded wrapper. His eyes, sharp as cut glass, locked on Amoka. The death of the mothers has returned. Peter turned. What are you talking about? The man didn't answer. He simply folded his arms, as if waiting for something inevitable. Peter's mother, Ngozi, rushed to his side. Her wrapper was streaked with dust where she had stumbled. My son, leave it. Leave her. Her voice cracked. This is not Amoka anymore. It is, Peter said fiercely. I can see her eyes. The goat gave a sudden, pitiful cry, half bleat, half wail. Then it leapt toward the open doorway. The crowd parted with frightened gasps as the animal bounded into the harsh afternoon sun and vanished down the dusty road. Peter sprang to his feet. Amoka. He bolted after her. Peter. Ngozi shouted. Come back. But he was already outside, the brightness blinding him. He caught a glimpse of the goat darting between startled market women, scattering baskets of plantains and peppers. People cursed and jumped aside. Peter ran. Dust rose around his shoes, stinging his throat. The goat was fast, impossibly fast, weaving through the maze of narrow streets. He pushed harder, muscles burning, until the market noise faded behind him and the sound of his own heartbeat thundered in his ears. Finally, at the edge of the village, he saw her. The goat stood on a small rise, silhouetted against the orange-tinged sky. For a heartbeat she was perfectly still, ears pricked. Then she turned her head toward him. And for the briefest instant, just a flicker, he swore he saw Amoka's human face shimmer through the animal's eyes, filled with fear and something deeper, the plea. "Amoka," he panted, stepping forward. A cold wind swept the hill, carrying with it the faint scent of rain and something older, like earth after a long burial. The goat darted into the forest. Peter hesitated only a moment before plunging after her. The forest swallowed sound. Tall Iroko trees rose like pillars, their branches lacing together to dim the late afternoon light. The air was damp, heavy with the smell of moss and wet bark. "Amoka," Peter called, voice echoing strangely. No answer. Only the rustle of unseen wings. He pushed deeper, branches snagging his jacket, thorns scratching his skin. A proverb from childhood whispered through his mind, "What is hidden in the dark will be revealed in the light." He clung to it like a lifeline. A sudden crack of twigs snapped behind him. He spun. "Who's there?" An old woman stepped from the shadows. Her wrapper was the color of midnight, her eyes gleamed like wet stones. She leaned on a crooked staff carved with symbols Peter didn't recognize. "You chase what you do not understand," she said in a low, musical voice. Peter's heart hammered. "Have you seen her?" "My bride," she turned. "I saw," the woman interrupted. "The forest sees all." "Then tell me how to help her." The woman tilted her head. "Help comes only when the past is faced. The sins of yesterday walk with the children of today. Do you know the story of Amoka's mothers?" Peter shook his head. "I know nothing." "Please, tell me." She tapped her staff once against the earth. "There was a promise broken before you were born. A debt unpaid. Until it is mended, the child of that line will never walk freely as a woman." "What promise?" His voice cracked with urgency. The woman's eyes darkened. "Seek the one who waits by the old river stone. Night will guide you. But beware, the river gives answers only to the brave." Before he could speak again, a gust of wind swept through the clearing. Leaves swirled, stinging his eyes. When he blinked, the woman was gone. Peter stood alone, the forest suddenly colder. Back in the village, the churchyard buzzed like a shaken hive. Villagers argued, some shouting about curses, others about witchcraft. Mothers clutched their children. Elder men conferred in low tones. Ngozi paced near the steps, her face ashen. "My son has gone mad," she muttered. "Chasing a demon." Inside the church, Father Emmanuel knelt beside the scattered bouquet, lips moving in prayer. "When evil rises," he whispered, "light must answer." From the back pew, a frail voice spoke, "This is no demon." All heads turned. Amoka's grandmother, Mama Ifeoma, rose slowly, her wrapper trembling with every breath. "This is the river's claim," she said. "It began before any of you were born." Gasps rippled. "The river," someone echoed. "Yes," Mama Ifeoma said, eyes clouded but fierce. "The river remembers." Meanwhile, Peter stumbled onward through the darkening forest, branches clutching at him like pleading hands. Each step echoed with memories, Amoka laughing as a girl beside the mango tree, her voice promising forever. He would not lose her to shadows. A faint bleat drifted through the trees. He quickened his pace. At last he broke into a small clearing bathed in silver moonlight. In its center lay a great stone slick with moss, the river whispering just beyond. And there, standing still as a statue, was the goat. Peter approached slowly. "Amoka," he breathed. The animal lifted its head. Moonlight flashed in its eyes. Behind him, the river murmured, low and endless, like a voice waiting to speak. The river whispered like an old woman telling secrets. Peter stepped closer to the moss-like stone, heart pounding. Moonlight glazed the water silver, so still it seemed to hold its breath. The goat, Amoka, stood motionless, eyes fixed on him. For a heartbeat he thought she would bolt. Instead she lowered her head, as if inviting him nearer. Amoka, he said softly, I'm here. I'm not afraid. The water behind the stone began to swirl. Tiny rings widened across the surface though no wind stirred the trees. A low hum vibrated through the ground, faint but steady, like the pulse of the earth. Peter stiffened. Who's there? The river answered with a woman's voice, soft, deep, and layered with echoes. Child of promise. Peter spun in a circle. No one. Only the rippling water. The blood of broken vows calls across time, the voice continued. Do you seek the truth? Yes. Peter shouted. Tell me how to save her. The current quickened. From the water rose a shimmering figure, tall, veiled in mist, face hidden by moonlight. The scent of rain and wildflowers filled the clearing. You carry courage, the figure said, but courage alone cannot break a covenant. The women of Amoka's line once bargained with the river for beauty and prosperity. They vowed that the firstborn daughter of every third generation would be returned to the river spirit at the hour of her greatest joy. Peter's stomach clenched. Returned, as in taken, the spirit said. This is the price they chose to forget. Peter shook his head violently. That's not fair. She didn't choose this. The river keeps its word whether mortals remember or not, the spirit replied. But love may yet till the scale. Would you bear her burden? Yes, he said without hesitation. The figure regarded him for a long moment. Love without sacrifice is a seed on dry ground. To free her, you must give what cannot be reclaimed. What is that? Your freedom, the voice whispered. Your life will never again be wholly yours. You will carry the mark of the river, and your days will belong to its well. Peter swallowed hard. The world seemed to narrow until only the goat and the silver water existed. Behind him the forest creaked like a door waiting to close. He looked at Amoka. Even in the goat's amber eyes, he saw the woman he loved, the laughter, the stubborn fire, the promise of a life they had dreamed together. I will do it, he said. The figure extended a hand of liquid light. Then place your palm upon the stone and speak her name. Peter stepped forward. The stone was cold as midnight. He pressed his hand to it and said, clear and strong, Amoka. The water erupted. A column of mist shot skyward, spinning around the goat in a storm of silver. Leaves tore from branches and whirled in a circle. Peter shielded his eyes. Through the swirling light, he heard a cry, no longer the bleat of an animal but the unmistakable sound of a human voice breaking free. When the mist cleared, Amoka lay on the stone, shivering and bare, her skin luminous in the moonlight. Peter rushed to her side, shrugging off his jacket to cover her. Amoka, it's me. You're safe now. Her eyes fluttered open, filled with bewilderment and tears. Peter, what happened? Before he could answer, the river spirit spoke again, softer now. The bond is sealed. You have chosen, and the river will remember. Care for one another, but know that every choice carries a shadow. The figure dissolved into mist. The water stilled. Amoka clung to Peter, trembling. I thought I was lost forever, she whispered. You're found, he said. That's all that matters. But even as he held her, Peter felt a faint, cool mark burn across his palm, a swirling shape like a wave. It pulsed once, twice, as if alive. At dawn they emerged from the forest. The village, shaken and sleepless, gathered as the couple stepped into the clearing. Mama swept the crowd like dry leaves in the harmattan wind. Amoka's grandmother pushed forward, eyes wet with awe. The river spared you, she breathed. Your love spoke louder than our old death. Peter's mother approached slowly, her stern face softening when she saw the mark on his hand. My son, she whispered, touching the scar that shimmered faintly. You gave something no one can repay. He met her gaze. Love asked for everything, he said quietly. I gave it. Father Emmanuel raised his hands, voice carrying over the hushed crowd. Let this day remind us, promises made in secret live longer than flesh. But mercy can still find those who dare to love. The sun climbed higher, lighting the broken church where vows had been interrupted, and the village understood a lesson older than memory: what we hide will one day stand in the open. The morning after the river's miracle, the village woke as if from a strange dream. Children pointed when Amoka and Peter walked past. Men lowered their voices. Women clutched their wrappers tighter, eyes darting to the faint, swirling scar on Peter's palm. Rumor moves faster than harmattan fire. By noon the tale had spread beyond the marketplace, across the red dust road to neighboring hamlets, the bride who became a goat. The groom who bargained with a spirit. The river that claimed its due. Peter tried to ignore the whispers. He held Amoka's hand as they crossed the compound to greet her grandmother. But the mark on his palm throbbed with a cold pulse that no sunlight could warm. Mama Ifeoma waited on a low wooden stool, a clay pot of water at her feet. Her eyes searched their faces, first Amoka's, then Peter's. You both carry something new, she said quietly. The river never takes without leaving its sign. Amoka knelt beside her. Mama, why didn't you tell me? About the vow? About the debt? The old woman's voice cracked like dry wood. Because the shame was heavy. Our mothers believed they could bury it. But a secret kept in darkness grows teeth. Peter's hand tightened around Amoka's. What happens now? Mama Ifeoma touched the edge of the clay pot. Now you live. But you live with the river's eye upon you. It listens when you speak. It waits when you sleep. Do not break your word to each other, for the water remembers. Outside, a cock crowed, sharp, sudden, like a warning. Life resumed, yet nothing felt ordinary. At the carpenter's yard where Peter walked, men paused mid-hammer when he entered. River husband, someone muttered. He pretended not to hear, but the words clung like wet cloth. At the market, Amoka reached for yams and the seller flinched, dropping coins. Forgive me, the woman stammered, eyes wide. The river's bride walks among us. Amoka forced a smile, but her heart trembled. Once she had been the girl everyone greeted with laughter. Now children hid behind their mothers as she passed. That night she sat outside their small hut, moonlight spilling across the yard. Peter joined her, the mark on his hand glowing faintly, almost like moonlight of its own. Does it hurt? She asked. Only when I think of it, he said with a rueful smile. And you think of it always? He looked at her, eyes steady. I'd make the same choice again. A breeze stirred the palm leaves. For a moment the night seemed peaceful. Then the mark on Peter's palm flared icy cold. He hissed, clutching his hand. The air thickened. From the darkness came the sound of rushing water, though the river lay miles away. A voice, soft as mist, whispered, remember the promise. Amoka gripped his arm. Peter, what is it? He forced a breath. The river, it speaks. The voice came again, clearer, when the moon is full, the chosen must return to the stone. One cannot love and yet forget. The sound faded, leaving only the chorus of crickets. They obeyed. On the next full moon, they walked to the forest together. The villagers watched from doorways, silent as stones. The path was silvered by moonlight, the same path where fear had chased Peter only weeks before. Now he walked it willingly, Amoka at his side. At the river stone the water glowed as if lit from within. The same soft voice rose from the current. You keep your word. The river keeps its blessing. But blessing carries weight. Your lives are bound, when one strays, both will feel the pull. Protect each other, or the water will reclaim what it saved. The light faded. Silence settled. Peter and Amoka looked at each other, hearts pounding. We protect each other, Peter said. We do, Amoka answered. They turned back toward the village hand in hand, unaware that the forest itself seemed to breathe with them. weeks passed. Harvest season arrived. Crops swelled green and heavy, richer than anyone remembered. Elders murmured that the river had poured its favor on the land. But with blessing came envy. One evening, a trader named Okafor approached Peter as he repaired a gate. "You carry power," Okafor said, voice smooth as palm oil. "The river listens to you. Ask it for wealth. I will share what we gain." "I made no bargain for myself," Peter replied. Okafor's smile thinned. "Why waste a gift? A man who refuses gold when it lies at his feet is a fool." Peter wiped sweat from his brow. "A man who forgets the price is a greater fool." Okafor's eyes hardened. "We'll see." That night the river's voice returned in a dream. It warned of greed and betrayal. Peter woke with the mark burning like fire. 2 days later, the village awoke to chaos. Yams rotted overnight, goats vanished, wells turned brackish. People wailed and accused. Some blamed the river's bride. Others whispered that someone had tried to steal the river's favor. Peter confronted Okafor, who finally confessed. "I only wanted a taste of your blessing," he said, trembling. "I poured wine at the river stone. I asked for riches." "The river is no merchant," Peter said coldly. "It does not sell what it gives." They returned to the stone, Okafor begging forgiveness. Peter placed his marked hand on the moss. The water surged, then stilled. A voice roared like distant thunder, "Let this stand as lesson. Desire without honor poisons the well." The mark on Peter's palm flared, then cooled. By dawn the wells cleared, the yams sweetened, the goats returned. As seasons turned, the villagers' fear softened into respect. Children no longer hid from Amoka. Mothers came to her for advice on childbirth and planting. Men greeted Peter with cautious admiration. Yet he and Amoka never forgot the river's warning. Every decision carried weight. Every promise was sacred. On quiet nights they sat by the doorway of their hut, watching the moon rise. Sometimes the mark on Peter's hand glowed faintly, as if the river itself was breathing beside them. Sometimes Amoka swore she heard a gentle rush of water, even when the land was dry. They learned to live with it, the mystery, the bond, the quiet reminder that love is strongest when it is also a vow. Thank you for staying with this video until the very end. Did you enjoy this story? What lesson spoke to the heart tonight? Share your thoughts in the comments so the village of listeners can grow together. And if this story touched you, give it a like and subscribe for more African tales of mystery, spirit, and resilience. Click the bell so you never miss when the next story begins. See you in the next video.